Yo, what's going on, guys? Mush back at it with another video. Want to give you guys an update on one of the best received PlayStation games of the year, potentially coming to PC. And it might not be as long of a turnaround time as it is for your typical PlayStation exclusives. I am talking, of course, about Stellar Blade. We'll talk about that. And from PlayStation to Xbox published title Starfield will be getting some DLC in Shattered Space on September the 30th. We do have the deep dive trailer for Shattered Space, an expansion a lot of you guys are probably just going to have access to, given that much like myself, a lot of you guys ended up buying the Starfield Premium Edition for the fake early access. And Shattered Space is in fact just baked into that, so we'll talk that at the end of this video. But right off the top, it was noted that ShiftUp has told investors that they are preparing to release Stellar Blade on PC in the near future and expect it to perform even better on PC than on console. I wonder why that is. Now, I don't know if ShiftUp has the modding community in mind, but let's be honest, you guys. The modding scene is going to be absolute degeneracy incarnate. However, Stellar Blade itself is a really well done game, and I really do believe, I don't know what the involvement PlayStation had in terms of making Stellar Blade a reality, in terms of how many resources they gave ShiftUp into creating this game. However, I look at successes like a Black Myth Wukong and how successful that game has been, and I really do believe a large portion of that game's success is because it had a PC release. There is a sizable audience on PC that whenever you have these console exclusives of games like Stellar Blade, even a Rise of the Ronin, which certainly wasn't as well received, but when you have games like that, not only, especially when they're new IPs, not only are you obviously handicapping the sales ceiling of the game because you only have the PlayStation 5 audience to work with, you're also capping the ceiling of how big that IP can get, because as we've seen with games like Helldivers 2, with Black Myth Wukong, after a game comes out, especially new IPs, that's really when we're cooking as far as the promotional side of a game, when people start talking about a game, and then it just ramps up and up. Do you think if Palworld was only available on Xbox, it would be as big as it was? No. Do you think Black Myth Wukong would have been? No. Do you think Helldivers 2 would have been? No. And I look at a game like Astrobot as well, which is a little bit different in this case of, you know, that game utilizes the DualSense controller so much, but I do believe there's a level of handicapping that you're doing to these IPs that are trying to pop off when they are only console exclusives. Now, ShiftUp collected a bag from Sony, you know, have at it. Hopefully you got compensated fairly well, but I also do believe Stellar Blade is one of these games that, even with a delayed release, I think it's going to do exceedingly well on PC. And the great thing about it, as this notes, that we can expect to hear it in the near future. I'm not saying we're going to hear about it by the end of this year, but I don't think it's going to be a 2-year turnaround time that Horizon Forbidden West was, that God of War Ragnarok was, and that's because Stellar Blade was not created by a Sony first-party studio. It was a third-party exclusivity deal that Sony had with Stellar Blade. Now, Sony did publish this game directly as well, but I would imagine the exclusivity deal was probably for 12 to 18 months, and after that exclusivity window expires, the game, it can then be released on PC as long as they have the PC version ready to go. And I hope that Stellar Blade, it already did well enough on PlayStation 5 to justify the creation of a sequel. We know that a sequel is going to be happening, but that momentum is only going to carry on when it's released on PC. And I wouldn't be all too surprised if the PC version in the long run sells more than the console version. There's just some of these games that stand out to me, like a Black Myth Wukong, where I think the game is just going to vibe better with the PC audience. Stellar Blade is exactly like that. Helldivers 2, again, exactly like that. I look at a Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, and that's a game that I do think is going to do better on PlayStation 5 than it is on PC. However, I even think with a game like that, you are still handicapping your success level when it comes to a game like this. Developers, publishers, they really have to assess the value of a timed exclusivity deal going forward, because I don't think that value is there like it was in the past. You know, Final Fantasy VII Remake, when it came out at the beginning of 2020, and when that exclusivity agreement was announced in 2015, remember, that's when FF7 Remake came to fruition. It's a totally different ball game now. There's a sizable sizable audience on PC, and Steam has created an accessibility level where so many people are playing your game on PC, and if you're not releasing your game on PC, you better be collecting a hefty bag from whatever exclusivity deal you sign. And generally speaking, PlayStation is the one that does the timed exclusivity deals as far as getting their games only available on their platform when it comes to games like a Stellar Blade and Rise of Ronin. And hey, if the developers are getting a good bag, more power to you, but really assess the fact that you're giving up on a lot of those initial sales, and even if you delayed release it, a lot of these games aren't going to be as big as they potentially could have been, and you are handcuffing the potential ceiling of that IP. You want to be in that social media discourse, and if Stellar Blade was in that social media discourse even more so than it was back in April, don't get me wrong, it was very much at a healthy place in April where a lot of people were talking about it, but that would have just been ramped up even more. The momentum would have been even greater if it was available on PC. That's just what I think that a Square Enix and any publisher that's looking at a console exclusivity agreement, particularly with Sony, needs to reassess and think about, because there are all of these different factors in play, and it's not just an idea of, okay, give us millions upon millions of dollars and we'll give you this game for a year or two. Also realize you're giving up on a lot of sales numbers, and when it comes to new IPs, you're also handcuffing the ultimate ceiling that game can hit. At least that's my perception of things. And hopefully when Stellar Blade 2 comes to fruition, it'll be on PC day and day. Hey, Sony, sign your exclusivity agreement and get it away from Xbox if you still deem that to be necessary. But these publishers should now look at the PC market and be like, okay, Sony primarily wants to sell consoles, and they want to lock a game away from Xbox. You know, I'm not saying do it because it's totally not great for the consumer. I think games should be available on all platforms, but if I was like a Shift Up, if I was a Team Ninja working on a Rise of Ronin, I would be like, all right, we'll give you console exclusivity, but we're still going to release our game on PC. Oh, and by the way, give us a big bag to go with that. I wouldn't, advocate for that in terms of it being best for the consumer. I just think these games should be on all platforms, but if I was the developer and publisher trying to make the most amount of money, I would try to get the big bag from Sony and then release it on PC right away as well. That's my 2 cents on that. Moving on from that, Starfield Shattered Space will be dropping on September the 30th. Starfield is a game that had an incredibly mixed reception, and obviously so. I liked a lot of elements of the game. However, I just thought what they were going for with the game, with having all of these planets, ultimately diluted the content that was available in the game. Shattered Space does look to correct some of that. In Shattered Space, Starfield's first major expansion, they do note first, so maybe there will be more. Players will visit the homeworld of House of Varun for the first time, explore a fully handcrafted new location, and unravel the mystery surrounding the followers of the Great Serpent. Now, given that they're mentioning explore a handcrafted new location, it does seem like they are putting a lot of emphasis into the isolated areas in Shattered Space, which I very much do prefer. Again, that was my main issue with Starfield, is that so much of the content got diluted. Initially incredibly impressive, but then as you explore more and more in the game, it's just a lot of the same. House Varun is on the brink of collapse, and their people need help finding the path forward when your sudden presence on their hidden home planet is seen by some as divine intervention. It's up to you to restore House Varun and decide the fate of this secretive faction. Shattered Space does launch on September the 30th. Owners of the Premium Edition will receive Shattered Space as a part of their original purchase. Remember, it was $100. A lot of us bought it for the fake early access. Owners of the Base Edition can still purchase the Premium upgrade for access to Shattered Space, and on top of that, you'll get some other digital goodies as well. The game as well, Starfield, the base game that is on Xbox Game Pass. That's probably the route I would go to play it. Game's got 103,000 Steam reviews, and 59% of those reviews are positive. Yes, very mixed reception for the game. Let's see how many people are playing it concurrently. 7,700. I'm actually super curious in terms of how much the player base is going to jolt up once Shattered Space comes out. I don't think it's going to be this huge jolt that the game is going to see, but I think it'll be at least reasonable. And, if it's the case of they drop Shattered Space and it's really well received, there's always time to rehab the release of a game. Like we've seen it with Cyberpunk. I'm not saying Starfield is going to go through that. I'm just saying the opportunity is always there. Maybe not to that extent, but an opportunity for a little bit of a rehabbing period for Starfield could happen with Shattered Space. We'll see how it turns out. It's out September the 30th. And that's going to do it for me. Again, primarily wanted to talk about Stellar Blade. Would love to see an announcement by the end of the year. I mean, Video Game Awards would be a great time to announce something like this, but I am very confident we'll see Stellar Blade in 2025. And I don't think it's going to be this 2-year turnaround like like a lot of the other PlayStation titles were. Remember, Stellar Blade was not a first-party title. It was a timed exclusive third-party publisher deal, so a little bit different when things like that happen. Neo was the same way back in 2017, and I think Neo was a 9-month or a 1-year turnaround. Same thing with Neo 2. I imagine Stellar Blade is going to go through something similar to that. And Starfield's DLC Shattered Space has gotten a deep dive trailer. It's out September 30th, and interested to see how it does. That's going to do it for me. Let me know all of your thoughts in the comments section down below. As always, thanks for watching, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Peace out. Hey, what's going on, guys? Mush here again. Hope you enjoyed the video. As you guys might know, YouTube's notification system is sometimes a little bit wonky, even if you're subscribed to the channel. Maybe you're not abundantly aware that I uploaded a video. To remedy that situation, make sure you hit the bell notification button. This way, whenever I upload a new video, and I try to upload as consistently as possible, you will be notified directly of the upload, and you can watch it as soon as it goes live. I would really appreciate if you guys hit that button so you can stay up to date with all of the content I'm posting. But as always, guys, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace out.